Hey guys, today I am talking about why we need to take our politics, why we need to take our opinions a little more seriously than we do sometimes. And I'm just going to give a couple examples of where I see this in our culture, and we're just going to talk through a little bit of why we need to think things through. We need to take things to their logical conclusion. I think it's super, super important for us to do in our society today. Oppenheimer is often considered to be the father of the atomic bomb. He worked for years on the Manhattan Project in bringing the atomic bomb all the way through to testing. And Oppenheimer described the day that they first tested the atomic bomb, right? There's a frenzy, you're working hard, you're involved in the project, you're solving the problems, and then it finally comes time to test it. And he said, he recalled after testing it, I'm going to read this quote, "A few people laughed. A few people cried, but most people were silent." Most people were silent. And I think this is a beautiful testament to what we can do in our lives, in politics especially. We get so involved in something, we get so involved in a project, and we don't think it through to its natural conclusion. We don't say, where was this going to lead if this works? If what I'm doing actually comes to be, is this really going to make the world better? Or is it just going to promote my idea and make me more right? Which is why it's always important to be questioning yourself, because you don't want to just do stuff to prove yourself right. You want to do stuff to make the world a better place. You want your ideas not just to be affirmed, but you want your ideas to make the world a better place. And what Oppenheimer is saying is like, you work in a frenzy, you try to get this thing done, you build the most powerful weapon in the world, and then when it finally works and you see it go off, being struck by a deep soberness, by a deep regard and understanding of what you have just done. And I think, in my opinion, the atomic bomb was a good thing, and it's made the world a safer, better place. That's my opinion. Oppenheimer dissented a little bit. He thought that he had maybe made the world a worse place. And there's definitely an argument to be made for that. But regardless of your politics, it's beautiful how serious you see him taking this. And I see this kind of issue crop up in our politics today, right? I was thinking recently about the abortion issue, right? Abortion, whether you support abortion, whether you think it should be legal, should be allowed, or whether you don't support abortion, where you think it's a horrible thing, murdering a baby, either side of the aisle should realize that it's a very, very serious ordeal. It's very serious. And it's a tragic thing regardless. Whether you think it should be allowed or not allowed, it's tragic. Just like whether you think factory farming should be allowed or not allowed, no one's out there saying, go factory farms, like make those cows stand in their manure, right? Like if you support factory farming, which there's some reason to do, it keeps food prices low and allows, underprivileged people to get access to at least some quality meat and stuff like that. So there's some argument to be made for it, for sure. But even the people who make those arguments, you have to make those arguments soberly and say, yes, but there is a dire cost, the suffering of animals. That's a serious cost. And it's so mind-boggling to me when I see like abortion activists, right? Women's rights is they call it women's rights. Women's rights activists celebrating when they get legislation passed. So excited that now women can abort their babies, or now the government's going to fund women aborting their babies. And they get so vehemently angry when the government says, maybe we're not going to support that. Maybe you're allowed to, but you can do it on your own terms. Or maybe you're allowed to, but only to a certain point. Right? It's somewhat disturbing to me, honestly, to see people celebrating the fact that you can now terminate a pregnancy later into the pregnancy than you could before. Right? And I get it. They see it as liberation for women. They see it as women getting finally like their rights and all this stuff. Again, that's the upside, but you have to consider the downside. And you have to be honest and serious about that. I think it's the same thing that a lot of people don't understand with hunting. right? There's plenty of people on both sides of the aisle who don't think hunting seems very nice. Seems like a mean, cruel thing. And a lot of these people eat meat, which is kind of ironic, but like they think hunting is just this horrible. You're going out, you like killing. Why would you like killing? You're going out and just killing things. That's horrible. And there is a level of seriousness to it, right? Like I personally bow hunt. I haven't gone in the last couple of years, but I went a lot in high school, and I'm starting up again. I'm gonna start practicing for this summer and stuff. But I've killed a deer before, right? I've killed a deer. It was 20 yards away. I pulled up my bow, and I released the arrow and killed it. And I've never felt such a feeling in my life, because on one hand you're excited. I spent all year practicing. I spent a lot of money on gear and on getting tags and all this stuff. I'm out here, I've been sitting in this tree stand for 3 hours, and what do you know, a deer walks by and I made the shot and I hit it. All of it paid off. It's such an exhilarating thing, but at the same time there's a deep feeling of loss. And every hunter you talk to who's an honest, good person will tell you this. Or you don't shoot a deer and be like, "You stupid thing, gotcha." Like, no. You respect it. And it's a sobering thing that you have taken something's life away. It was living, it was walking, it was breathing, and you took that away from it so that you can continue to live, so that you can sustain yourself, so that you can eat. And in my eyes, this is the sobering reality of the universe itself, right? This is how the world works. And we've become detached from it in a lot of ways. But that's not my point today. I'm not here to talk about hunting. My point is that when you talk about politics, when you talk about new ideas, when maybe you do support abortion. I personally don't support abortion. I think there's some discussion if it's rape or if it's horrible things like that, but for the most part, I'm not in favor, right? And if at all, it should be very, very early, is my opinion. And I haven't thought it through, so don't take that as no one thinks this. This is just, throwing that out there. But whether you support it or don't support it, you have to take it very, very seriously. The fact that this is ending a life. This is serious. Same thing if you're a socialist, or if you disagree that capitalism works. Right, and there's an argument to be made. There's definitely people who capitalism hasn't helped as much. I acknowledge that and I understand that. But if you're gonna propose tearing down the whole system, think twice about what's happened before when that goes down. It rarely works, and it usually ends up being much more suffering. Even in places that have been horrible, they've gotten worse with socialism. And this is not me railing against socialism as much as it is telling people who are socialists to be very careful in how they think. And I say the same with capitalists, right? We have to be careful with what we say, because I think if just complete free market capitalism, unrestricted by any boundaries, were to take hold, we would see a degradation in natural wildlife. I think we would see a lot of people cast out by the system. I don't think libertarianism taken to its fullest extreme, almost anarchy, is necessarily a good thing. I think there is a place and a time for regulation and restriction, especially when it comes to externalities. Right? So before you go out and say, no regulation, zero regulation, get rid of it, look up the numbers. Read some history. See how this has happened in the past. Right, I hold my opinions. The strongly held opinions that I have are the ones that I've done research on and tried to understand. It's not just comes out of this angst. It doesn't just come, I don't think this is right, so I'm going to be mad and I'm going to propose something else. And I see far too many people doing that in politics today. So, be serious about what you think. Be serious about what you believe. And the same is true as well with religion. And I know that's an even more taboo topic than politics. But I see far too many people in my generation just throw away their religion like it's meaningless. Like, it never meant anything to me and it doesn't mean anything to me now. Which, if that's the case, that's too bad. But, for me, I had to confront a lot of stuff about my beliefs. I had to think through my thoughts. I had to think through what I believed about Christianity that I was raised up in. And I've come to my own way of believing it. I've come to my own conclusions. But I had to very seriously think it through. I wasn't willing to just throw it away, and I wasn't willing to just ignore the facts on the other side. You have to carefully consider these things. And if you don't carefully consider them, don't have a strong opinion. This is Noah Hovland with the Noah Hovland Show. Take care.